Okay, the book I would like to present today is Morphy Move by Move by Grandmaster Zenón Franco. Why do I present you this book? Because in the comments there was a guy who said, but look, how does it help me to see Chuchelov playing against Petrosian that they are this top player, very strong, when I'm maybe less than 2000? Well, this is a very good comment, because where do we start to watch the games, to learn something and improve? Today everybody is focused on this chess improvement, but they don't understand it can be done just by watching games in the right order. What is the right order? The right order is that you must start with the most basic guy, that is Morphy. Not because he was really basic, because the guy was really a tremendous calculator, but because his games are open games that teach you about the value of time and development. Time and development and space and sacrifice. So if a person that is really interested in improving in chess, instead of just speaking about it, wants to learn, this is the book he should get, or at least a book of Morphy's games, and watch all of them. And you say, but maybe I don't understand them. Great, but the Grandmaster Zenón, in this case, he will teach you a lot, because it will stop you in the right moments. And of course, just watching them, one start to ask himself some questions. Why play this move? Why not the other? For some questions maybe it's difficult to answer, for other it's very easy. So let me start to show you some games from this. So we start with this kind of chess improvement. So the game I would like to present you is from chapter 3 of this book, the 4th American Chess Congress. It's game 5. J. Thompson was white, Paul Morphy was black. E4, E5, and this is the first thing you should learn, right? In reality, you want to learn the open games. That's what a coach would tell you. Knight F3, Knight C6, Bishop C4, Bishop C5, D3, Knight F6, Knight C3, H6. And here it says it is more usual to play 5d6 because it says, so d6, bishop g5, h6 is not really feared, to be feared. So practically he says that h6 at that moment is kind of a waste of a tempo. So the great Paul Morphy wasted the tempo for us modern chess player, okay? So this move, it says, it's basically a defensive move, right? Because it prevents from pinning this. But it has been played many times, and we shall see Morphy manages give it an aggressive character. Okay. So how does white continue here? He continues with knight e2. This move is considered dubious. What does it mean, dubious? That is not a good move. So, and this is why you get a book, because in the book the author asks you, why is this dubious? It's just a normal move heading for g3. As in the Ruy Lopez, isn't it? The Ruy Lopez is the Spanish opening, okay? The one after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, and bishop b5. And the answer is yes, the idea is well known and is not bad, but that's not enough. We need to see whether it's appropriate to the position or if there is some snag with it. The way to do this is to ask yourself, what can my opponent do in response? So here it says it was better to play bishop e3 or castle, okay, than knight e2. And Morphy played d6, but again, when Grandmaster Zenón asks you, if white plays this move, how is the opponent exploiting it? And this is what you learn from a chess book, right? Because it's not just watching the game, moving the pawns over the board. That doesn't mean anything. You need to understand the position. In the beginning, the opening is a fight for the center, this four square here. So Grandmaster Zenón is saying that black, since white has left the control of d5, the fight for d5, black must play this because he's fighting for the center, and this has lost the control of it. So that's why knight e2 is not good, okay? And then after he will play castle and the other continue, but d5 is the move to play because white has lost it, the control. d6 is still good, but is not challenge white immediately, okay? c3, as you can see, is trying to control the center, no? That's also another reason why he moved knight on e2. He thought that he would need this, but then this is a kind of waste of tempo. Why? Because he could have made knight d2, f1, g3, if that's what he wanted to do, instead of wasting a tempo here, going here, and then playing c3. So that's my opinion, okay? However, c3 can also have obviously another idea, which could be b4, okay? The support of b4 or the support of d4, okay? That's the reasons behind it. So, as you can see, we are not watching the game automatically. Castle, tac. No, we reason. When we watch the game, we reason over it. Why that move was played? Why the other move was played? What could have been better? So if you do this exercise, then yes, you will have an improvement. If you don't do any exercise, obviously not. Okay? So, okay. So after c3 castle, white plays h3. And here again, this is the good thing of these books. They are in a kind of question after each move. Is this precaution better than knight g3 or even castle? So is this move necessary? Because you see, and this is another thing you can learn only reading books, this is also called a hook. What does mean a hook? The fact that at a certain point you will advance your pawn, and if this is here, you threaten to take. But if this is here, it becomes a little more difficult to advance forward, right? So as you can see, sometimes little moves by pawns are weakening the position, okay? However, here it says that h3 is not only a preventative move, stopping bishop g4, but it can also become an aggressive one. We should note that white has waited for black to castle kingside. So what does it mean? That there is a plan behind this move. The plan is probably this, tac and tac, okay? So in this case we have an aggressive move. h3 is not weakening the position because white is giving a meaning behind that move. It's not just moving it for moving it automatically. And again, as you can see, all this reasoning that we are making back and forth will help you in your own tournament games, okay? In your own tournament games you will remember, because that's the strength of a chess player, you will remember the game Thompson-Morphy and say, but you remember, this was the idea, this was the plan, that was the maneuver, and so you have gained a library of ideas and maneuvers that you will be able to play over the board. So again, watching games is not a passive improvement, but it's active if you ask yourself questions, okay? And in this case, even Grandmaster Zenón says, in this case, this is the hook, and so you will want to do this. Again, or one or the other is playing the game and is playing with some ideas. And in the book, we learn the ideas behind the moves that we will be able to use in our own games. That's it. That's all there is at the end of the day. King h8. So again, there are a lot of questions that Grandmaster Zenón has made in the game, in the book, and so that's why you should buy the book. That's it. I cannot really give you all his wisdom because it doesn't make any sense. And I like generally to watch the games because some of his ideas are already clear for me, okay? For example, in this case, he says this move looks rather slow if this is the idea for an attack, no? And here he gives an explanation. No? Knight g3. So now that he has played this, it seems that there is a failure in the previous idea that we were planning to do this. So I don't know. Again, this is also the reason why you don't begin playing chess with blitz, which is what people are doing today, you know. They are playing blitz, and why they are playing blitz? Because it's exciting blitz. But the problem is, when you see a player like Magnus, Hikaru Nakamura, and other that are obviously the top 10 playing blitz, they have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of hours thinking at the board, in tournaments, in classic games. They've spent thousands of hours thinking, watching the board, in their homework, no? And so they have a sensibility and understanding of a position that the beginner player doesn't have. And so they think that they are doing the same thing playing blitz, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, okay? Okay, so knight g3. And here he asks you an exercise. Why did white give up on the idea of advancing the g-pawn? So, as you can see, with this book, you have the chance to learn to think about chess. And that's what you want to do, to think about chess. If you want just to move the pieces, I'm sorry, it will be a kind of disappointing on the long run, because you will see that you will not progress at all. Knight h7, and here Morphy continues with this idea. Queen c2, f5. So this was the idea behind king h8. You understand? The idea was that he wanted to move this, but he can't because of this. And so you see, also if I didn't explain you that idea a couple of moves before, now that I see it, I know it. And that means that in another game I will play as white or as black, I have both these ideas in my library of chess patterns. Okay. Here Morphy invites tactical complications since he considers that the opening of a game will be in his favor. Okay, so why he considers the opening of the game in his favor? Because this king is still in the center. Okay, we are at move 10, black has already castled, white unfortunately is still in the center, and so that's what you want to do. You want to open the position, no matter what, because then you can attack the king, keep it in the center, and eventually try to give checkmate. You can't give checkmate, but you can gain a material advantage. E takes f5, and now again another exercise that he asks you in the book. He says, black has several options now. What do you think was Morphy's choice? So you pause the video and you start to think, because again, if you just watch this video automatically without thinking, you're wasting your time. I give you a chance not only to know what there is in this book that is written by a very good coach, a grandmaster. I give you the chance to actually put yourself in the black shoes, in the black place, and decide what would I play if I would be black. This exercise will be very useful because, once more, if you go to play a tournament, a real tournament over the board, not online, this position could come up in your game and you want to know what to play, right? Morphy played d5, which is obviously occupying the center, right? And of course, here there are some lines. It's not also clear like I'm making it. Obviously, before playing d5, he surely thought about it. Okay, 12, bishop b3. And once more, Grandmaster Zenón asks you, you're black, what do you do here? Pause the video, try to find out. But like I told you, I think I spoiled a little the thing before, because I told you the king is in the center, you must open the position, right? So in this sense, let's say you are a total beginner, you watch this game, you start to have an idea of what to do in your own games. The move is e4, because he wants to open so that this and this can start to attack. D takes e4, D takes e4, and now there is a blunder, knight g1, and of course, once more, Grandmaster Zenón, he asks you, what is black most effective move now? By the way, before knight g1, he also made another question. He said how white should defend. And here you can learn not only to attack, but also to defend, right? In any case, he made this mistake. Now it's black's turn. What would you play as black? Morphy played knight e5, okay? Bishop e3, knight d3, check, king e2, bishop takes e3, f takes e3, and now there is queen h4. Notice that we like Morphy's game because they are generally very fast. He's really a killer. So let's see what happens, okay? Knight takes e4, queen takes e4, queen takes d3, and obviously he doesn't take here, no? He goes here. Queen takes g2, king d1, and remember, the goal of the game is to give checkmate, right? Not only getting pieces, you want to give checkmate, you want to bring other pieces into the game to kill this king. So the move is bishop takes f5, okay? Now he plays this because he thinks to keep this and is afraid probably of this, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work. Okay? He plays bishop g4 and white surrender. And you say, why white surrender? Why? Try to see it. Let's say he takes, right? what would you play if you were black? For example, you could play this, right? Because this rank is controlled by this. This is checking. This is a kind of checkmate. Here there is, however, this, right? So it takes, because it doesn't want to have a checkmate. But then you take back. And now it needs to move, right? Boom. It's a massacre. So white has lost, is in a very bad position, is not gonna win. This could fall, this could be pinned, and then at a certain point also this knight will come into the game. So the game is over, and that's why. Okay? So I hope you enjoyed this game. I hope you will enjoy this book, but this is where you start in chess. You start watching some good games played by Morphy, because they will teach you the basic of controlling the center, of developing fast, of sacrificing pieces or pawn to develop your pieces and win the game. And this is where you need to start watching the games to understand chess. Then after this there are other games other collections that you can watch in order to better understand chess. But it's a way to improve that it's clearly above and beyond just to practice tactics and playing blitz games 5 hours a day, waiting that the computer analyze the game and teach you something about it, because it's impossible to learn chess in that way for human players.